guess we're gonna do another one just to show you guys. The FC's gone. Not gonna talk about it yet. Something bad happened to the FC, so I'm kind of screwed now. I ended up signing up for DriftWeek3, which is gonna be in Washington. Planning to take the FC with it. Had the FC ready to go, 100% ready to go, and then the car, something tried to happen to the car. So basically, I can't do it anymore with the car. So I have to go to Plan B, which sucks because Plan B is to take my FD. The first track day is April 15th in Bill and Sportsland, and this car literally looks like this still. So nothing's done to it. Last time I worked on it was when we built the engine. So engine's built, somewhat mounted with those mounts back there, but I'm still waiting the oil pan. I'm still waiting on materials for the exhaust. I'm still waiting on everything pretty much. The only thing that I actually have for the car is I have 2 parts in the way already. 3. So the only part that I actually have is in here, which I'm gonna show you today with the help of Mochi. Just like the FC, I am planning on running Link ECU on this car. They went full out pretty much on this car and gave me everything I need from the start. So the thing I'm missing is the dash, but I don't know what I'm gonna do about the dash yet. But I have everything here to get the car, basically start working on it to make some progress on the car. I have so much stuff to do with this car, it's not even funny. So I'm gonna try to make it for Drift Week. If I can't make it, sucks, I'm gonna try. But basically, I just have to do the best I can with what I'm dealt with, because I was not planning on having this happen. Don't worry, once the car gets here, we are gonna talk about the FC and what happened to it. But for now, we're just gonna keep it on the low right now. So Mochi already went ahead and cracked the box open because he's nosy. So we're gonna start opening everything up and see what all we have. Alright, so let's get everything out and then show you what we're basically dealing with. So we have a bunch of stuff from Link this time. Went ahead and basically just told him what my goals are with the car, which is really high up there. It's 500 to the wheels, NA. So we have to actually push this car a lot, and to push it a lot, we have to make sure we see everything that the engine sees. We can't just guess, secondhand guess what's going on with the engine. So crucial thing we got is these. So I want to run EGTs on this car, versus the FC didn't have them because basically it's turbos. You can just like get away with the wideband. I'm still gonna run a wideband in this car, but I'm also putting 3 GT sensors in the car. It's really crucial to see what the engine's doing. And the best way to see what the engine's doing is by putting these on each runner. So now we'll be able to tell how much gas each rotor is getting, so we can fine tune the engine and get as much as we can. Right now we can actually go in there and basically, if one rotor is getting too much gas, pull back, make sure all rotors are almost matching, and it had the engine running perfectly. So I have it super happy. Same thing as the other one. So we're gonna run pressure sensors, so oil pressure, fuel pressure, see what the hell the car is doing. So make sure we have the fuel pressure and oil pressure we need for the car to work correctly, and put sensors on everything. So we're gonna have oil temperature, water temperature, and air temperature. I ran a different air temperature this time because It's NA, so I have to make like my own like little box setup for it. So I ended up running their different style air temp sensor. So this is the air temp sensor I'm putting on the car. That's pretty much it. So I have to put this somewhere before it gets to the throttles to read what the temperature going into the engine is. So CAN wideband. So we have the CAN wideband. So this goes right to the computer. I don't see it, the computer sees it, and it will go into closed loop and make sure the car is basically running 100% all the time. And then last but not least, on this car, because it is a 3-rotor, we need more outputs for coils, injectors, and all that stuff. So we ended up going with the Extreme on this car. So Link Extreme. Right now, I think one of the fastest 20B all-motor cars actually is on Link. So that's the reason why I went on Link with this car. So gonna go with this thing. Hopefully I can have it all wired up in a couple weeks and then figure out what to do, receive the next step of the car. I still have to do fuel system, I still have to do the transmission, clutch, diff, oil coolers, radiators, coil packs. Still have a lot to do, but I mean, I have to get it done now because I have no choice. So this thing, didn't really want to drift this car that crazy, just want to do it for a couple of events, but now, since it's the only drift car I have now, I have to go full on it and get everything for the car. I'm still waiting on the water, basically the water pump adapter to run AN lines out of it, because I'm gonna run a electric water pump in this car, just because I want to get the most part of the engine, so you want to have like less drive on the engine. So I think it's called Messier water pump, so I'm gonna run that one. I have to just buy it, get it here, figure out how to mount it. The radiator, we're gonna go with a custom CNR core. So that thing takes, I think it's like 4 weeks to get made. For this car, since I had to keep it kind of budget because I had to do everything last minute, I'm gonna end up putting the RC transmission. So the RC transmission is actually coming from Florida from an importer, so I'm putting RC transmission in the car. I have to make my own drive shaft, but I'm hoping with the gearing, it should put me in a power band that I like most of the time. Because right now, like, I don't have the money for the sequential. I have to wait a little bit so I can put a sequential on it. So we have to do suspension, we have to do coilovers, knuckles. I already did all the bushings in the car before, so that's all new bushings. So this thing is gonna be crazy once it's done, but for now I have to basically just focus on start to work on it a little bit. The crazy part I have to plan out is once I have the oil pan done, I have to cut the hood. And you can see this hood is actually a Master Speed hood that I'm gonna chop, so rip. Luckily I have like a little paint bubble coming out of that corner. It won't hurt me as much to cut it because that part of the hood's kind of messed up already, so kind of gives me a little incentive. I also have to modify the intake. So from what I've seen, a lot of people are running 6 injectors on these cars, and I only have 3. This manifold was off an IMSA car from what I heard. So back then they got away with 3 injectors. They probably weren't making much power, but for what I'm doing, I actually have to put 3 more injectors. So this engine originally had injector holes right here and right here and right here, but since it's P-port now, we blocked those off. So the only injectors I have right now are on the fuel rail. So I'm gonna keep these, gonna get new injectors for it though, and probably mess with the fuel rail a little bit. But I also have to weld bungs, like basically bosses on each runner, and run a secondary fuel rail on this car so I can have 6 injectors working for it. Later on, I am gonna try to attempt to do basically the sliding throttle bodies. But that's once the car is running perfectly, that can actually start messing with that. I don't want to basically get too ahead of myself and end up with a mess. So I have to figure out the angle on that. Once the engine is basically mounted, figure out the angle of the runners, weld the clamps for these so I can have these things working, and keep going from there. I'm hoping for is that since this is, I mean, on people's eyes, it is a more respectable car. It'll be easier for me to basically to get more, get easier help on this car. Because once the car's running, I should be able to basically to convince someone to give me a sequential. That's the goal with the car. With a H pattern, it's gonna be hard to basically just go through the gears for drifting. I can still do it, but my dream goal is basically having a sequential on this car and just rip it to the moon. For right now, once it is running, I'm gonna keep it on low, basically low RPMs, because the engine is built for 12,000 RPMs. The oil instead of it's not built for 12,000 RPMs. So what I'm gonna do is gonna keep it basic around 9,000 RPMs until I go dry sump and then turn it up. Right now the dry sump setups are really expensive. I think they're almost like $6,000, and the one I'm trying to find is impossible to find. So I'm trying to get the all miles of speed dry sump setup, and that thing is literally the hardest part to find these cars, and it also costs like $5,000. So gonna get running basically for now, make probably like almost like 400 all motor, and then find the dry sump cover that I want, and then add nitrous and basically go for the moon in this car. One of the problem I'm gonna end up running into this car, it will be voltage. So I'm gonna have a really big water pump on this car, really big fans, like 6 coils, all these injectors, all these fuel pumps and everything. So I was basically trying to figure out how to get around that. So I ended up hitting DC power alternators. So they sent me a sick alternator. It's gonna be here, I think on Monday, so I can start making the bracket for it. But that thing literally is built for this car, so we should have no problems with this car having voltage issues, because that's gonna be the main thing that will kill the car. So basically, if I don't have a really high spark and I need all the power I can get pretty much to the car. So I really didn't want to talk too much about the FC, but I am gonna show you one picture of the car so you can see why basically I'm dropping this whole DriftWeek thing and then trying to get the FD done. It's pretty bad. So I paid to get it transported here, and in Texas it was hit, and this is the picture I was sent, which is kind of heartbreaking. So I showed Mochi the picture of the car. You can see he's already getting sad about it, and this is literally one of the pictures I have from the car.